If you, like my wife, are tired of crawling under the quilt frame to inspect the stitching when you think something has gone wrong, this video is for you. We're going to look at 4 different low-cost cameras for inspecting the quilt. In the search for a low-cost camera that works, I ended up buying 4 of them. The first one on the far left is the Endstar Microscope. This has a USB-powered camera with a light on the end. Now this camera needs to be plugged into a Windows laptop or tablet. It has a manual focus and the focus range is very narrow. It has a high magnification so you can really get in and see the stitching. It also comes with software, but you don't want to use that. We'll use the Windows camera application instead. And there's quite a few attachments, including a side view mirror, which we'll end up using. Second is a dental camera with a light. Both the camera and the lights point out to the side. Now, this is designed to be handheld and also requires Windows laptop or a tablet. If you have a Pro Stitcher tablet on your quilting frame, don't plug the camera into it to get the video. The tablet is going to be busy enough just running Pro Stitcher. The third camera is a small endoscope for inspecting hard to get areas. It comes with a small collection of attachments, including a little mirror. And most importantly, it comes with a Wi-Fi adapter that allows you to display the image on a smartphone, an iPad, or an Android device. The final camera is a handheld digital camera with the Wi-Fi. This can also be used with a smartphone, iPad, or Android tablet. And it's probably the most useful of the 4. So let's take a look at each of them. So this is the first camera. It's the Endstar Microscope, and you can see I put some Velcro on one side, and I'll show you in a minute how we use that. I've got it plugged into a small Windows tablet, and the Endstar has a little light on the end, which you can control with this thumb wheel, so you can make it as bright as you want to. To see the picture, don't use the software that is in the package. You're going to go to one of the Windows applications, and we're going to use the one that's called Camera. And here it is. Now you can see it's a little bit out of focus. The Endstar has a very narrow focus range, but it is manually adjustable with this little wheel here. So what you need to do is figure out how far away you want it and manually adjust the focus until it comes into focus. And you can see it's very narrow range, but you can get extremely close and it's real easy to see what's going on with your stitching. This is available from Amazon. I bought it for $69. This seller on Amazon does not sell the Wi-Fi connection with it. If you want to use this on Wi-Fi, such as on an iPad or other smartphone, you can buy it directly from sellers on eBay who are located in China. The catch is it's going to take you 6 to 8 weeks to get it. And actually, this isn't the best camera for looking underneath a quilt. It's very large and you really can't mount it vertically on your quilting machine, but it does have the most detailed view of the thread when you're using manual focus. I'll show you in a minute how you can mount it on a machine. You're going to mount it using this little right angle attachment. There's a little mirror there, and you'll need to, if you use this, you'll need to scrape the little plastic off the mirror with your thumbnail and put it on like that. And in a second I'll show you how to put that on your sewing machine. The other thing that I've discovered is when you do have a problem, generally what you're going to have to do if you mount this on your sewing machine, if you're in Pro Stitcher, you're going to have to get out of it and release the motors, which creates a whole bunch of more work for you. And as you'll see in a minute, you're not going to be able to really see the stitching when the machine's in motion. So let me show you how this is set up. So here you can see how I mounted the Endstar microscope head on a HQ Avanti. There is Velcro here, Velcro down there, and Velcro on the microscope itself, and I have this right angle lens, and I have the light going full bore. And I have it just have the cable just looped back behind the quilt frame and connected to the tablet right here. And you can see from this image what it looks like on the tablet. And as I move the machine around, you can see that the various parts of the pattern. This is just a sandwich that we had for testing purposes. It's a little hard to see when it's moving, and I'll show this a little better on a demonstration on a separate camera in a moment. But when you're stopped, it does a pretty good job of giving you an idea of what the stitching is doing. So that's the Endstar. You're going to need a separate laptop or a tablet to run it. You don't want to run it on your Pro Stitcher tablet. The next camera I want to show you is called the Intraoral dental camera. There's a number of people that sell these on eBay. Again, this is a USB connection, so you'll need a Windows laptop or a tablet. It has a light on it, but it's only one brightness, off on, although that's really all you need. It does have a fairly wide range of focusing, so you can zoom in pretty close and still stay in focus and come out and still be in focus. It has a little baggie over it. Because it is a dental camera, you get a whole bunch of these baggies. And this is actually a plus because the camera right in here is inset quite a ways into this hole. And if you're using it around fabric, you're going to get a lot of dust in it. By using this plastic cover, it protects it, and you can just wipe it off with a damp cloth. And if the cover rips for some reason, you've got a lifetime supply here. So again, it comes with software. You definitely do not want to use the software in here because it's designed for a dental office. You're just going to plug it into your Windows laptop. You're going to go to the Microsoft camera application that's in the menu, pull that open, and if it doesn't show right away your camera, you may end up getting the webcam view right out of the top. Just hit this little button over here and it'll switch cameras, and you're going to switch it over to the USB camera. So let me show you how you would use this with a quilt. Okay, so now we have our test quilt again, and if I want to look at a particular point of the stitching, let's say right on that little point, I turn on my light, I stick my hand underneath, and from the light I can see exactly where I am. So I know that the camera is pointed right at that. It's not in focus, so now I just gradually pull it away from the fabric, and I can see the stitching right there. And if I want to see it in a little larger context, I can pull the camera out a little ways. I can navigate around. I can see what's going on right here with a loose thread. So this is a pretty handy way to do it. And if you can't reach far enough back, you can always tape it to a ruler or a yardstick and reach way back. Or you can go behind the frame and reach from back there. So this is a pretty handy way to do it, and probably 99% of the time you're not going to want to move the quilting machine if you think something's going wrong, because then you'll have to tie off and start all over again. So this will let you get right up to wherever it was you had a problem. So this sells on eBay. I paid almost $25 for it, a little over $24, and is really a pretty inexpensive solution if you have a Windows laptop or a tablet that you can move around and not be more than about 1.5 meters away from it. The third option is called the Wi-Fi Waterproof Endoscope Borescope Inspection Camera for Android and iPhone. This was actually the best deal of all. It was $17 on eBay with free shipping, so you can't really beat that. It has a small endoscope at the end of a cable. It has a light adjustment so that you can adjust the light, a Wi-Fi adapter, and a charging cable. The way this works is you download a small app from either iTunes or the Android store. Then you connect via Wi-Fi using the information they give you to this little Wi-Fi transmitter. You launch the app and you get a nice little endoscope, and it has automatic focusing, so it focuses over quite a broad range. Now, there is a battery in the Wi-Fi adapter, but it's not going to last as long as you're going to need it to last. It'll last, 20 minutes, half hour. So you're going to have to power it. They also don't give you a charger. So they give you the charging cable, so you're going to have to use a charger from somewhere else. So here's a venerable iPhone 1 amp charger. You can plug into that and plug that into a lightweight extension cord and hook that onto the existing cord on your quilting machine. You can also go portable. Here's a Duracell USB battery pack. You can plug into that and power it. Or on the Handi Quilter machine, on the handlebars, underneath where the lights are a couple of USB power jacks. You can plug into that. Or you could also, I suppose, plug into the little black box behind the Pro Stitcher laptop and just draw some power off of that. So there's some options for power. Now, I haven't mounted this yet, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to mount it. So here on the Avanti, you can see the Velcro that I use for mounting the Endstar Microscope. That is just not going to work for what we want to do here. The other challenge we have is that we really want to mount it as close to the needle as we can, so we want to mount it up here somewhere. At the same time, we want to make sure that there's enough clearance that it doesn't hit this plate right here. So you can see there's not a lot of room to maneuver. It's got to be somewhere in here, and fortunately we can bend the cable up so that it doesn't hit that plate. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, first of all, these 1/2 inch zip tie mount blocks that I bought from Amazon. I'm going to use some 4-inch long zip ties that I got from Lowe's. But first I'm going to clean the area with some alcohol to make sure there's no oil that's going to cause the zip tie mounts to fall off. So let me mount all that and then I'll be back. Well, here's where we ended up with our little endoscope. So the endoscope is mounted right here. I put 2 of those little 1/2 inch pads in there, and I mounted the endoscope as low as I could. There needs to be at least 1 1/8 inch distance between the quilt and the top here in order to be in focus. Any closer and it gets out of focus. So this is right at 1 1/8 inch. So there's 2 zip ties holding it on to these 2 pads. There's a 3rd zip tie so that I could wrap this cable around so that it will avoid this little bracket right here. And I've got about 1/8 inch clearance there. So then it goes to another bracket here and it holds it. Another one here. It goes up the back. And up here we have our Wi-Fi adapter. It's fixed down with a little bit of Velcro. And then I have it plugged into the back connector here for power, because I have the front 2 connectors already committed to doing lights and the tension meter. So that's what the assembly looks like. Now let's try it out. Okay, so now we have Pro Stitcher running with the endoscope And to show you what that view looks like, I've got the iPad over here. Because the camera is not exactly where the needle is, you're really not looking at exactly what's happening here. So I've got a little Baptist fan going over here. And this is what I'm seeing on the iPad. Now, because it's a Wi-Fi connection, you can see you're getting a series of snapshots here. You're not getting constant video. And in fact, if I move away, it begins to slow down because the Wi-Fi connection to the machine is not that strong. So here I'm getting maybe one picture a second, which may be enough for what you want to do. But you're not going to see the needle stitching, and you're not going to see every stitch the needle makes, because as the machine goes from right back to left, the stitching is going to be on the right hand side where the camera is not. But, you know, it's better than nothing. So while this isn't perfect, it would certainly prevent you from having a disaster on your quilt, because it will show the pattern at points and how it's stitching. So if you didn't know there was a problem, you could at least keep an eye on it. You may have to backtrack a ways and rip out some stitches, but at least you wouldn't have a complete disaster for an entire row. This endoscope again was on eBay. It sold for $16.99, and it's called the 6 LED Wi-Fi Waterproof Endoscope Borescope Inspection Camera for Android and iPhone. The fourth and final camera is called the Intraoral Dental Camera Wi-Fi USB Oral Endoscope 6 LED. This again was sold on eBay. There was probably a dozen or more different people selling these at different prices. This one was $42.49. It comes with the handle, with a rotating head, and with a little charging cable. Charging cable goes in here, and again, there's no charger with it, so you'll need to use your iPhone or Android phone charger or another USB type charger. This works the same way as the other handheld. You're going to stick it underneath. You're going to locate it by holding it to the point where you see the light in the area where you want to inspect, and then you gradually move it away. And you get a pretty clear image of what's down there. My hand is shaking a little bit, and the update from the Wi-Fi is kind of unsteady, but you can see pretty much everything that you need to see without climbing under the quilt frame. And like the other handheld camera, if you can't reach it, you can tape it onto a ruler or a yardstick and reach further into it. So connect it via Wi-Fi to an iPad or a smartphone, and gives you a real good view. Even on the top, if you can't see how good the stitching is, you can use this to zoom right in and take a look at the stitching. So a pretty good deal. You can pause Pro Stitcher, and you can look at any area on the quilt with the handheld one, whereas with the mounted one on the machine, you can only look at one specific area. So I think this is probably the most useful for a quilter for inspecting the underside of the quilt and even the top of the quilt. Again, this was on eBay and sells for the one I got, $42.49. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down below the video. I'll also put some links to these products if you want to take a look at them on eBay and on Amazon. And thanks for watching.